Doom Eternal is finally here after a long delay. It was supposed to come out in September of 2019, but it was delayed by the developers. Apparently they wanted to fix some issues within the game, and it was pushed to March of 2020, and I've actually been playing it for the last 2 weeks while I'm quarantined. And my God, let's talk about this game. So Doom Eternal takes place after the events of Doom 2016. I actually reviewed that game back in 2016, so if you want to check out that review, I'm going to put it in the description down below or include it at the end of this video. I love that game. I thought it was a really good shooter. I love the soundtrack, and I was very much looking forward to a sequel after the first one entailed that there was going to be some kind of Doom 2 or Doom game after Doom 2016. What would you call that? Doom Reboot 2? No, I guess Doom Eternal is cool. Doom Eternal, yeah. It's badass. So this time, Doom Eternal takes place on Earth, where hell has come to Earth. The demons are reckoning. They're invading the population, and it's up to you, Doom Guy, or Doom Slayer if you want to be more serious, or Doom Guy if you're cool, to stop these demons from invading Earth. This game is such an improvement on the first one. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. There's so many improvements that they've added to it. Killing demons is much more fun in the first one. The first one, with those glory kills, that's what made that game. And I'm so happy that they included it back in this game. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, that was like one of the main perks of the first one. They're back in this game, and they are much more deadlier. They're much more gory and much more animated. I love glory kills so much. I love Doom. I love Doom Eternal. There's so many improvements that have been made on this game. Not just the combat, but the way that you travel within the game as well. In the first one, it was just basically get from point A to point B. You could double jump, but it was pretty much your basic shooter in terms of traveling. But with Doom Eternal, they've added more features where it's actually fun getting from place to place. And a little bit more challenging, actually. You actually have to sometimes climb walls, and you can swing from poles to get from point A to point B, specifically buildings sometimes. You have to jump from across buildings to get from section to section. It was actually eye-opening how much more thought was put into this game. One of the things I mentioned in my review of the first game is that it was a mindless shooter, and I meant that in the best way possible. What I meant was there was a story, but it wasn't the most important aspect of it. The game was specifically designed to just have fun and go at it with killing these demons. That's what I meant with that first game. I meant it in the best way possible. It was not being judgmental towards the game. It was a compliment. With Doom Eternal, yes, it is focused on gameplay, and there is a story. There is an attempt to make the game more of this lore, but there's so many improvements that were made to the gameplay itself that you could tell that there was some thought process put into it. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated, was that there's just so many things that you can do. The traveling is improved, and there's actually this thing that's added to your classic shotgun where you can hook onto a demon, and then you can run across the room and hit this demon in the face, kind of like your Scorpion. Get over here. That was not a good Scorpion impression. But it's really minor things like that that really improve upon the first game. I actually played the first game twice. I do enjoy playing the first Doom game, but as I was playing my second playthrough, I started to realize that the game was getting kind of repetitive, and I wasn't really sure if it was just the game itself or it was just because I was playing it again. I think it was just because I was playing it again. Like, that's the whole reason why I was getting kind of tired, especially with my second playthrough. And I was really scared that this second Doom game was just going to be another one that took place on Earth with the same demons. But there's so much more that's added onto this game that really makes it stand out on its own, especially the setting itself. I like how it takes place on Earth, but there's more of this medieval theme to it. There's actually more of an attempt to add on to the lore of the game, especially adding on to the mythos of Doom Guy. Don't even get me started with the human interactions. Like, they actually add humans within this game, which was not something that you saw in the first one. There wasn't any humans in the first one because you were on Mars, but since you're on Earth, you're seeing all these scientists, and your interactions with them are hilarious.
Oh my God, it's him.
I want to be acknowledged someday by someone, just someone seeing me and saying, oh my God, it's him. I want that amount of respect. I want to be Doom Guy. I want that respect. And another reason why I really like those interactions is because it adds on to the character of Doom Guy. In this game, it's kind of self-aware that they're making him out to be like this badass guy. And I like how the game acknowledges that he is somewhat kind of like John Wick, or just Chuck Norris, or just any other badass character you know.
Hey, who are you? You can't be here.
I like how the game is self-aware that he is like this guy that is kind of like meme-worthy in a sense now. Like people are probably going to be acknowledging him as the Doom guy or the Doom Slayer throughout the entirety of his internet career now. I like things like that. In terms of gameplay with Doom Guy, I like how they add on to the character by adding more upgrades. This was something that they included in the first game, but with this one specifically, you can go around the world collecting crystals, and this way you can improve your ammo, your health, and your armor, which is something that I would strongly recommend, because if you don't, you're gonna be killed a lot. This actually happened to me throughout the game, is where if I wasn't improving myself, and if I didn't have sufficient amount of ammo or armor, I was dying a lot. That's why this review is kind of late, because I wanted to make sure that I completed the game 100% and was able to give you a full consensus as to what I thought of this game. And I'm glad that I did, because there are some things I want to point out. A few negatives, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about the positives real quick. There's also these things called Sentinel batteries, where if you're taking a break and you're on your ship, and that's right, Doomslayer has a ship, he's kind of like a superhero now. He's like Batman, where he has a lair, and he's like Spider-Man, where he can hook onto people and just like swing from buildings and stuff. He's a superhero. While you're on your ship, you can use these Sentinel batteries to find items that are stored away or locked away. One of them being the classic Doom armor. I actually haven't played in that armor yet, but probably in my second playthrough, I'm gonna put that armor on, because I can't wait for that classic feel. And there's also improvements that you can add to your weapons and your armor itself. I didn't actually know about this until like near the end of the game. The game actually suggests to you like, hey, do you wanna walk around your ship a little more so you can get these items? Like, you can't come back to this ship until you beat this last level. And I was like, yeah. And I was able to improve my armor, ammo, and everything was more sufficient after that point, because I was dying a lot in this game. However, there are things that I want to point out in this game that were just incredibly hard. And these are my negatives with the game. And don't get me wrong, I love this game. It is such an improvement on the first one. It's just these negatives that I really have to mention, because I couldn't take my mind off them as they were happening in the game. So the enemies are really fun to play against. Like, the game gives you tutorials as you are playing through it and telling you how to beat certain enemies. For example, the Arachnotron, you have to shoot off its turret, and then once you do that, you can shoot the body, and then that kills it. So the game actually tells you specific things that you need to do to kill these enemies. But there's one enemy in particular, and there is a tutorial that it gives you to beat this enemy, but the mechanics of the enemy itself do not match the mechanics of the other enemies. And the enemy that I'm talking about specifically is the Martyr. All right, so I actually need to clarify with something real quick before the review continues. I'm noticing this actually as I'm editing it. This character's name is not the Martyr. His name is actually the Marauder. I'm showcasing that name right now. For some reason, I decided to call him the Martyr throughout this entire review. So as I'm saying Martyr, just know I actually mean the Marauder. That's his actual name. My bad. I should know this character's name like sufficiently and more precisely, because I hated him so much. I do not like the Martyr in this game. He was a nightmare. I hated his guts. Every time when he appeared in this game, I let out a actual sigh. Like, I didn't like the Martyr. I liked his design and everything. He's actually on the cover of the game. But what the cover of the game tells you is that, like, you know, you're a Doom guy, and you're able to kill all these demons, and the Martyr should be a demon that you can kill. And yes, you can kill him, but it's incredibly difficult, and all of a sudden, it's just not fun anymore. To give you a little bit more context, I would much prefer versing this guy right here, this giant demon, than verse the Martyr. That's insane. The Martyr is just incredibly hard. There are hard characters throughout this entire game, but the Martyr just doesn't feel like he's a Doom enemy. It feels like he's from Dark Souls, honestly. The mechanics just don't match with the other demons in this game, and I'm showing you this gameplay to give you a sense of what he's like. This is actually my second attempt at giving this review, because I didn't like how I explained why I didn't like the Martyr the first time, and I wanted to just do this review again. Basically, the Martyr, he just feels so different from every other enemy in the game. He spins around you, and that's probably why the game gives you like this such high sensitivity on your joystick, because you have to like, you know, look at him from left to right. If you get too close to him, he shoots you with a shotgun. And if you get too far away, he throws his axe at you. But if you're in mid-range and you're waiting for his eyes to turn green, you can wait till he's ready to strike and shoot him with a shotgun. Also, I didn't even mention the dog. He has a dog that he unleashes on you if you damage him too much. This character is so OP. Like, even though I thought it was mid-range of this demon, he still either shot me with a shotgun or threw an axe at me. There wasn't like, you know, a determined range that, you know, defined mid-range. I really think that, honestly, I think the developers need to update the game and not necessarily make him more easy, but, you know, make it a little bit more fair and more fluid with the gameplay, because each time when I came across the Martyr, it really ruined the flow of the game. And this thing, after its first appearance, appears 1 or 2 times in each level. I really didn't like this character, and it's not just him that's really hard in the game. The bosses are extremely hard too, but with the Martyr, he's just a regular enemy. Like, yes, he's a high-level enemy, but he's not a boss. He's like a regular enemy. With the bosses, at least with the developers, but I also kind of view this as a negative as well. I feel like this game was delayed because the developers knew that, oh shit, this game's like really hard. Like, we gotta fix some things. Whenever like you're versing a boss, it's incredibly difficult. With at least the final boss in the last one, you knew exactly what you had to do to beat that boss. And granted, these bosses have like ways for you to kill them, but there's so much going on in this world with other enemies that you have to kill, and sometimes you run out of ammo that it's almost virtually impossible to beat this boss. And I was playing on normal. Like, the last third of this game is just really, really hard, and I feel as though it should have just been more focused on being fun. Like, to even like prove my point, when you're versing a boss, the game actually offers you this armor that you can wear, and there's no penalty for wearing this armor. You can wear the armor and verse the boss, and then you can progress to the other level. And I just felt that was really weird, and I felt that was just more of an indication that the developers knew that these bosses were really, really hard if they were giving us armor and there was no consequences for having this armor. They knew it was hard. This game, the bosses itself, and the Martyr specifically, I hate that Martyr. I just thought it was really hard. But besides that, this game is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's better than the first one. It's just certain bosses and the Martyr. I hate the Martyr so much that I really didn't like. I thought it really took away from the experience. But besides that one enemy and a few bosses, I love Doom Eternal. I really do. One thing I will say also is this is a minor negative that I have, but they actually took away Team Slayer in this. There was a multiplayer that was involved in the first Doom, which I liked. I will admit it was very similar to other games like Halo and Call of Duty, but I was very interested to see where they were going to be taking multiplayer in Doom Eternal. And there is a multiplayer, but it's not Slayer or anything like that. It's an arena where you play as Doom Guy and other players play as demons and stuff, which is cool, I guess, but it just, I don't know. I just feel like they should have also included Team Slayer. It's just like, I know not a whole lot of people maybe played that, but if you added on to the game, I'm sure like, you know, more people would have played that, especially like with the armor customizations that you were offering in this game. Like, you can play as the classic Doom Guy, and maybe you could add more stuff to the armor, then maybe that would have been a more sufficient reason to play the multiplayer. And I understand that, but I don't know, it just feels weird that they took away that aspect of the first one. Like, I was looking forward to it, and it's not here. But that's a very minor thing. I know people usually just play Doom Eternal just for the campaign overall. But yes, guys, I absolutely loved Doom Eternal. It's such an improvement on the first game. And if you're looking for a game to play during this quarantine, I would highly suggest Doom Eternal. But if you're not like a regular gamer like me, you probably want to play this on easy, because it it was just so damn hard. Like, it's been a while since I've played a game that was that hard. Like, holy shit, actually. But yes, guys, absolutely love Doom Eternal. If you would like to check out my review for the original Doom game in 2016, that's going to be right here or in the description down below. Comment down below what you thought of this game. If you've played it yet, like this video, share it, and please subscribe to Pixel Talk if you haven't yet for more game reviews, movie reviews, trailer reactions, and movie news. Thank you guys so much. I'm Corbett Stuckey, and this is Pixel Talk.